You're listening to the Sober Therapist, Sober Soul Recovery Podcast, episode number 176. Welcome to the Sober Soul Recovery Podcast. Here we shine a little light on the overuse of alcohol and drugs as a way of coping with our everyday stress. Each week, we'll explore ways to start, build, and master a sober life that you don't need to escape from. Hey y'all, Lynn Maddie from Georgia, the Sober Therapist. Life is good. Today I am waking up to sunshine in Georgia. It's been that way for a couple of days, but hell's bells, man, it was raining for a long time. Off to my right is Mimi, and she is once again picking at my cup of things that I have on my desk. And in my cup of things, I have a nail file, which is her favorite thing to pick on. I don't know if you all have cats or those of you who have cats have this issue, but no toy that I purchase is good enough for my Mimi. She wants hair twisties. She wants nail files. And so that's what I leave around for her. All right, on to today's topic. I want to talk about something that consumes a lot of us. The question of, how do I become more happy? I just want to be happy is one of these phrases that my clients use all the time when they're first coming to see me. And, you know, I use it too, sometimes still. Oh gosh, I just want to be happy today. And oftentimes we're thinking of things in a way that is more, probably relevant on a movie screen than it is in our day-to-day life. So I thought I'd dig a little deeper today into what happiness is. And more importantly, how to get you some more of that happiness. Even today, if you are willing to try a few things. So, of course, I Googled, what is happiness? Yeah, thousands, gajillions of hits on, and a lot of different definitions on what happiness is. As usual, the ones that get the most attention are the quick, easy ways to get happy today. Yeah, we're not going there. We're looking at the ways that you can actually build happiness into your day-to-day life in a way that is sustainable over time. And oftentimes, that's not the quick and easy way to do it. However, there are quick and easy things you can do every day that will build toward a more happier life. I stumbled upon, as I usually do, somebody who has gathered all this data for me, and I double-checked it to make sure it would be the same kind of stuff that I would come up with. And sure enough, it was. So much of what I'm going to relay to you today comes from an article on one of my favorite websites, Very Well Mind, written by Kendra Cherry. And she is an educator. She lists in her bio that her expertise is psychology, child psychology, personality, and research. And she is the author of Everything Psychology book, second edition, available everywhere. And you guessed it, on Amazon. I love this quote she has on her bio. She states, "If you have ever wondered why people do the things they do, how they become who they are, or what factors influence how people develop, psychology can offer insight and answers. Whether you are a psychology major or a student taking an introductory course in the subject, she states, my goal is to provide useful information and resources to further your understanding and appreciation of psychology. Really nice. So I'm going to pull from an article that, as I said, she put together that is pretty comprehensive when it comes to discussing happiness. So what is happiness? I looked at Wikipedia and it pretty well matched what Ms. Kendra has in her article. Happiness is an emotional state characterized by feelings of joy, satisfaction, contentment, and fulfillment. She got this definition from a researcher of positive psychology who wrote a book in 2007, The How of Happiness. And her name is Sonia, I'm going to murder this, Lyabomirsky. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not exactly correct, but So in her research, she found that happiness has these emotional qualities, the experience of joy, contentment, and fulfillment, combined with a sense that one's life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile. So a sense of fulfillment. Because happiness tends to be this really broadly defined term, and if you have followed me for a while, I'm not a fan, as are many clinicians and researchers, of broadly defined terms. So psychologists and other social scientists typically use the term subjective well-being, meaning that it's very personal to each of us as individuals, subjective. The other component of subjective well-being is the present moment. So remember that. It's very important. You cannot define your happiness on the past or the future. There are two key components of happiness or subjective well-being, and they are the balance of your emotions. Everyone experiences both positive and negative emotions, and I'm a fan of feeling all of that. So we have these negative emotions, feelings, and moods, and happiness is generally linked to experiencing more positive feeling than negative. Yeah. Duh. How do we get that? More of that coming later. The other component of happiness is life satisfaction. This relates to how satisfied you feel with different domains or areas of your life, including your relationships, your work, your achievements, and many other things that make up things that you find valuable, your values. Now, I'm adding some stuff into her article because when I compared it to what was actually written in this book, she left out some of the stuff that I find important. And what I find important, are your relationships, your work, and your achievements. But those are exterior to you, right? So those things generate self-confidence, but don't do all that much by themselves for your self-esteem. It's these other things that we value that are important, and most of us don't really know what we truly value. We inherit values from our caregivers, and we tend to accept these things, and they are reinforced by our inner critic through the shoulds. And over time, it creates this incongruency that we feel inside of us, which leads people to things like substance use problems. Everyone wants to know, okay, how do I know when I'm happy? Well, you have barometers, you have litmus test, so to speak. They're not perfect because most of the time, again, we're basing these things on comparison. We're comparing ourselves to other people and their perceived happiness, mind reading lots of times, or Instagramming, which are not factual in nature. You cannot know another person's life by looking at a picture or, frankly, believing their exterior presentation, even if you're close friends. You have to dialogue with them to figure out if they understand, if they're happy or if they're putting on a mask. So key signs, indicators of happiness include feeling you are living the life you want. So you have feelings of happiness, contentment, peace, things that are in that portion, that piece of the pie of the feeling wheel. If you haven't gotten one yet, please get yourself one. Feeling that these conditions of your life are also good. Yeah, I use the word feeling twice. That's how you determine, by understanding your feelings better, more precisely, if you're happy. Here comes another feeling statement. Feeling that you have accomplished what you want. I'm going to add in there what you need in life. A lot of people in the leadership, life coaching industry feed us what we want out of life. That, again, is more closely aligned with self-confidence. If you want true inner peace, true inner happiness, you have to figure out how you feel, because your feelings are going to lead you to what you need in life. And that leads you to feeling satisfied with your life, that you have enough. It's hard to do in a culture that teaches us nothing is ever enough, which is why I ask my clients first and foremost to step off of that roller coaster for a while, at least during the time you're working with me, to figure out what you're really needing out of life. And the last key sign of happiness, as listed in this article, is feeling more positive than negative. Yeah, don't we want more of that in our lives? There are, of course, different ways that people, philosophers, have thought about happiness over the many decades that humans have been thinking about these things. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle made a distinction between two different kinds of happiness, and we use these things in diagnostics and especially diagnostic discussions with other clinicians around how people are doing in their progress in therapy. The first is hedonia. Hedonic happiness is derived from pleasure. It is most often associated with what feels good in the moment, sometimes self-care, but I would say more along the lines of pedicures and manicures and whatever guys do for self-care. Fulfilling desires, experiencing enjoyment, and a sense of satisfaction. All of those can be very pleasurable, but if you focus too much on them, you're likely missing the more sustainable parts of happiness, which leads us to our next definition, two different kinds of happiness from good old Aristotle. And that is, I had to listen to Google to pronounce this. It's spelled with an E, but it's pronounced eudaimonia. This type of happiness is derived from seeking virtue and meaning. Important components of eudaimonic well-being include feeling that your life has meaning, has value, and it has purpose. It's associated with fulfilling responsibilities that match your goals and your values. And of course, concern for the welfare of other people and living up to your personal ideas. Again, that value thing. In common psychology, we refer to these things as pleasure and meaning. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. How to practice things in your daily life to get you some more happiness. While some people tend to be naturally happier, they come out of the womb with more balanced, should I say, hormonal structure. That was not me, just say. Although I still believe, especially now that I'm in recovery, that I had some innate component of happiness that was the real me underneath all of the stress that I was birthed with and then lived with in my early life. Because I think that's a driver, at least for me, of believing in this innate sense within me, this true, authentic, yummy self. So listen up to this one, because this is something new that I haven't talked about before, in this way especially. Maybe I've hinted at it. The number one way to practice happiness is to pursue intrinsic goals. What are they? So I'm going to tell you. Intrinsic goals or intrinsic motivation is how your behavior is driven by internal rewards. In other words, the motivation to engage in a behavior that arises from within you as an individual is naturally satisfying to you. This is in direct contrast with extrinsic motivation, which involves engaging in behavior in order to earn external rewards, or equally important, to avoid punishment. This is profound for those of us who have built a life based on our early childhood adverse experiences to stay safe. Because for me, that meant I built all of my coping skills around not getting in trouble, being the nice girl, even though, I operated colored outside the lines, so to speak, a little bit, had that rebel in me. I was inhibited from leading the life that I really needed to live, in large part because I was so scared of what that meant in my family unit. That doesn't mean my parents were awful. It simply meant they were uncomfortable with who I was, how I presented in the world. And they did their best to figure out how to deal with that. It just wasn't all that great. I'm off article now. So what I'm pulling from a book, Introduction to Psychology, Gateways to the Mind and Behavior with Concept Maps. Yeah. Okay. That's all I'll tell you about that one. And the authors offer this definition. Intrinsic motivation occurs when we act without any obvious external rewards. We simply enjoy an activity or see it as an opportunity to explore, learn, and actualize, live in real time. That's what actualize means. Our potentials. Ooh, isn't that delicious? Can I say that about a definition? Yeah. So you may need to rewind to really get this, to get what intrinsic goals are and to understand how to tap into intrinsically motivated goals. But there you go. Another thing to do to practice toward becoming happier is to be in the moment. Gosh, we've heard a lot about this, right? For most of, the last 20 years. Enjoy this time that you have in the here and now. Most of us focus on the past or the future and lose track of actually enjoying what we're doing in the moment. So focus on today, the next 5 minutes. This is what we do in recovery, and it's valuable for all of us, whether you're in recovery from something or not. Focus on practicing gratitude for the things that you have and enjoying the process of using them, being with them. Lay down with your children and be with them eye to eye, or your cat in my case, and Sassy. And one of the reasons I picked this article is because Yeah, I'm back on the article now. Another very good way to build happiness in your life today is to learn how to catch and reframe your negative thoughts. When you find yourself feeling grumpy, feeling pessimistic, experiencing negativity, look at your thoughts. Look at the thought that you are thinking. I'm stupid. Ugh, there they go again, making my day awful. People, we have a negative bias naturally, inherently in our Neanderthal brain. And if we continue to give that more attention, we're not going to evolve out of this. You can change how you think by focusing in on your thoughts and reframing them into something different. Not all this happy, toxic stuff, just different. I can do this today. I can do this thing right now. I can do the next right thing. Small steps on the daily, on the weekly is what is sustainable and builds this stuff into your daily routine, your weekly routine. So you get it. It starts to be natural for you. It became natural for me. I feel like I'm whispering a lot today. Sorry if that's annoying. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say you can improve your happiness by going for a walk. Go without your earbuds. Focus on the here and now. Use these other things simultaneously. But getting this regular daily movement of your body, you do not have to, work up a sweat necessarily. But the benefit of moving your body on a daily basis helps you feel better, helps your body do the work it needs to do. And that includes your mind. And then, if you feel like it, I have no desire to really get a huge dopamine or a huge endorphin dump. I'm too lazy for that. So I might just do a couple of jumping jacks every now and then just to maybe feel that. But that's the extent of it for now, at least. Yep, eventually I'll get back into it. The other thing you can do, I've mentioned earlier, is show this gratitude, not only for the things that other people are doing to you, but for the things that you do for yourself. And if you can't come up with one to list, that should tell you something. I also want to share the 3 mistakes that the author outlines, and I think they're very valuable to close on today. Not to close on a downer, but the 3 things to stay away from are valuing the wrong things. So do yourself a favor and do a values assessment. Don't do one from the leadership realm. Find one that's associated with psychology or counseling. The other thing is to not seek social support. Yep, we've got to really practice lifting the heavy weight of asking for help. And the third and final thing for today is don't think of happiness as an end all to beat all. Happiness is a process. It's not a destination. Yeah, I know. Very profound, Lynn. Don't set lofty goals for yourself. Look around for what is already in your life. Consider that as an identification and an exploration of happiness at your fingertips just for today. Thank you, everybody. I'm really happy I have this podcast and can connect with you. And as always, take care, be well, and I'll talk to you real soon. Thanks for listening to the Sober Soul Recovery Podcast with me, Lynn Maddie. If you like my show and want to learn more, check out sobersoulrecovery.net, or please leave me a nice review on iTunes. Join me here each week where together we start, build, and master sober life.